It is a warm day today, y'all, so please excuse my AC that's running in the background, but today we have the Bard palette by Fantasy Cosmetica, and as I tried this palette, I feel like Fantasy Cosmetica is batting a 10 out of 10. There has not been, from what I remember, a single Fantasy Cosmetica palette that I've decluttered, or even like a single Cosmetica palette where I'm like, none of this works, these shades are trash, they're muddled, the color story doesn't work, none of that. And this is no exception. This Bard palette I've had my eye on for a while now. This is one of their older palettes, and of course it has yellow in it. This is the slip-on. It's exactly the same as the palette, so we're going to slip that off. And there's a yellow in here, so I've had my eye on this for a while. There is a mirror as well, a nice little square mirror right there. But this is the color story that we're looking at. I love that looking at the front, you know exactly what shades you're going to get in here. And I really love this. This is a really good color story with warms and cooler shades. A lot more warmer. We just mostly have these three right here, which are cooler shades, and then this around here, which is very like sunset vibes. This palette is so, so pretty. I love the shades in this, the impact. I love that there's mattes in the corners. I didn't have any issues with this. This is just a good palette. The only thing I will say is that coming into working with this palette, I did remember that there were a lot of reviewers before me talking about how greasy the shimmers are and how they can, you can see it happening right here. They're kind of crumbling in the pan. So I was wary of that when I bought this. Don't really have that issue yet, but I'm prepared to see if it happens. As my palette gets older, I feel like you can already kind of see that it's like separating right there. I don't see the seeping of the oil from the shimmers yet, but it could happen. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I guess it's possible. We're looking at, I don't know if you guys can tell looking through the screen, but the ones in the middle are a lot more kind of like foils, a lot because they're more crumbly, but they'll still apply onto your eye. And then we have these two, which are a little bit smoother on application. I really like the story. I also want to propose this story as a possible kind of Thanksgiving fall palette. That's not what I was expecting. I had been pulling out a bunch of very colorful palettes, so I thought I would pull this one out because it looked very colorful to me. And then as I used it, I was like, I think this is a fall palette. This is a really good summer to fall palette because we have what I would think, like when I think of summer, I think of yellow for the sun, and then I think of blues for water, like summertime. I'm on the coast, so I think of going to the beach, and like these colors make sense to me. And then I look at, instead of looking at it from the top up, I start looking at it from the bottom up, and when I look at the bottom up, I see autumn shades. These colors I super associate with fall, and then as I go up, I'm like, oh, and there's the oranges. Oh, and there's the yellow. And then we have this champagne shade right here. This is a really, really good palette, y'all. I'm going to swatch the some of the mattes first, just so you can see what that looks like, and then I'll swatch a few of the shimmers. But they're very nicely pigmented. I feel like these palettes always are. I feel like whatever palette you choose to get, it's, oh my god, it's so smooth. It's going to be a winner. These are so pretty. Brighten this up a little bit. Maybe let's brighten up the orange. And then brighten up the green. But I feel like that screams Thanksgiving. That's just so autumn to me. It's hard to also say what my favorite look in here was. I honestly can't remember, because I just remember being so satisfied. But like, that's what I remember, like the satisfaction of having used this entire palette and being like, that's a pretty look, that's a pretty look, that's a pretty look. Like, there wasn't any, maybe this one. Let's do this one. Oh, it's so soft. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Maybe this one. I can't. Oh, these are so pretty. Should we do blue or orange? Let's do this one because it's a different texture. Oh my god. That is, I think that's a multi-chrome. Look at that. That is crazy. That is so, so, so pretty. Let me get like I love those shades. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my lord. Oh, I remember that one. Girl, look how far it went. And then this one was not as intense as I thought it was going to be. There is like a light pink kind of shift to it. It's really pretty. And then we have this one. Wow. Another one. Look at that. Look at that wrap around the wrist. And I could probably keep going. Look how it's still on my fingers, y'all. It's still on my fingers. This is so, so pretty. Look at it. I can wrap this all the way around my wrist if I wanted to. The payoff is so amazing. These shades are so, so good. I feel like I'm getting to the point now where I kind of want to smell. They have scents for some reason. It's very unique. As I was saying, they have scents that come out with these collections. Like they'll have, I think a scent per palette. I think they might also come out with lip glosses, perhaps with these. I usually always go for the palettes because that's what I like to use. That's what I like to collect. That's what I would call my hobby. I think these are just absolutely so gorgeous. I know a brand like this doesn't really get me the views, but I just cannot talk about how well these palettes work. These have been some really solid palettes, and I can't say that for everyone. There are a lot of brands that I love. Listen, I like to use Jeffree Star. Guess what? Every Jeffree Star palette is not a 10 out of 10. I love to use P. Louise. Every P. Louise palette is not a 10 out of 10. Not every Beauty Bay palette is a 10 out of 10. Not every Be Perfect palette is a 10 out of 10. There's a lot of brands that I use and love, and I'll sit here and I'll tell you how much I love Morphe, but if a Morphe palette isn't doing it for me, I'm gonna let you know. And that's why I wanted to say every palette so far from Fantasy Cosmetica has just been so amazing, and I think if there's a brand that you want to try for this coming Black Friday, they do tend to have Black Friday sales. That's the time I think you should grab your Fantasy Cosmetica palette. This is just a really amazing palette. Look at these swatches. Just so pretty, so amazing. If you're a girl who loves color, these are the palettes for you.